What do a market jolt, a franchise record, and a whiskey showdown have in common? They all say something about power, on the ice, at Queen's Park, and across the hemisphere. Let's start with the ripple that began far from home and found its way onto Bay Street. Colombia has declared a state of emergency after a U.S. military strike in Venezuela and the ouster of Nicolás Maduro. Washington says it won't govern Venezuela, but it does want to reshape the country's oil sector, all while keeping its so-called oil quarantine in place. Here's the key for Canadians. Experts aren't expecting an immediate impact on our oil markets. Revitalizing Venezuela's energy infrastructure would take years and a lot of capital. Still, the headlines spooked investors. Shares of Cenovus and Canadian Natural Resources slipped, and pipeline names like Enbridge and South Bow also moved lower, as questions resurfaced about network impacts if Venezuelan barrels eventually re-enter global flows. For now, Venezuelan output has been throttled to roughly 500,000 barrels per day as of December under U.S. measures, and that means the short-term supply picture for Canadian producers is largely unchanged, even if the long game just got more complicated. Closer to home, Premier Doug Ford has been busy on two fronts. In one online segment, he singled out a particular action by former U.S. President Donald Trump that he says benefited Canada. He didn't expand in detail in that clip, but the nod underscores Ford's willingness to credit cross-border moves when he sees direct upside here. Meanwhile, he's taking a very direct swing at a major beverage brand. Ford confirmed he plans to pull Crown Royal from LCBO shelves in response to Diageo's decision to close its Amherstburg bottling plant. Diageo says the shutdown is part of a global restructuring, not a tariff play, with bottling for the U.S. shifting stateside and for Canada moving to Valleyfield, Quebec. Ford had floated broader penalties against Diageo, but for now he's targeting Crown Royal specifically. It's a shot across the bow that raises big questions. How far should a province use its control over retail alcohol to influence corporate decisions? And where's the line between leverage and unintended consequences for consumers and workers? A quick Toronto weather check before we hit the ice. Cloudy with periods of rain and some snow today. The temperature sits near 1 degree Celsius with a high of 2 and a low of -2. Speaking of ice, Austin Matthews has done it. The Maple Leaf superstar is now the franchise's all-time leading goal scorer, leaping past Matt Sundin and reaching 421. He was named the NHL's third star of the week for the feat, and the team's celebration had a uniquely Toronto twist. The 61 players who've assisted on his goals so far are getting customized gifts, including 421 numbered Budweiser Zeros, marking each tally. Current teammates like Mitch Marner, William Nylander, Morgan Riley, and John Tavares have been key suppliers of those 705 assists in total. Help that Matthews himself was quick to acknowledge. As for the lineup, the Leafs' blue line gets a timely boost ahead of Florida. Welcome news with recent injuries testing the depth. Between a record-setting finisher and reinforcements on defense, Toronto's trying to harden its identity for the grind ahead. Not all hockey headlines are celebratory. Police have upgraded charges to manslaughter in a fatal altercation outside the Loose Moose Bar downtown. The incident dates back to December 28, when an alleged assault left 36-year-old Luke Daniel Kellett-Smith unconscious. He was placed on life support and died on December 31. The suspect, 33-year-old Bernard Emeka Wane, was initially charged with aggravated assault. That's now been upgraded following the victim's death. It's the kind of case that rattles a city, high-traffic location, the holidays, and a reminder of how quickly a late-night dispute can turn tragic. Over in the West, the Vancouver Canucks season has taken an unexpected downward turn. At the halfway mark, they sit second last in the NHL at 16-25, with the fewest regulation wins in the league, a bottom three penalty kill, and the third most goals allowed per game. A seismic roster shift hasn't helped. Quinn Hughes is gone, traded to the Minnesota Wild after signaling he wouldn't sign long-term. Vancouver brought back forwards Marco Rossi and Liam Ogren, blue liner Zeev Buyam, and a 2026 first-rounder. But integrating that kind of package mid-season is never simple. It's a cautionary tale about windows, leverage, and how quickly expectations can flip in a parity-driven league. Ottawa gets pulled into the spotlight in a different way. Winnipeg Jets defenseman Logan Stanley has been suspended 1 game for punching Senators captain Brady Tkachuk in a Saturday matchup. Stanley says he doesn't regret it and plans to keep playing with an edge. The NHL can always handle a little sandpaper, but there's a line, and this time the Department of Player Safety made their call. For Sens fans, it's another chapter in what's already a bruising season narrative. Back in the GTA economy, a feel-good business story with a long horizon. A family-owned furniture store that set up shop in 1993, one of its locations in Collingwood, has kept thriving by staying nimble and leaning hard into Canadian-made products. It's part patriotism, part smart supply chain management. In a retail world where tastes, timelines, and costs shift constantly, the Buy Canadian pivot has helped them keep their footing and their community ties strong. Soccer fans, mark your calendars and maybe your closets. As Canada gets set to co-host the FIFA World Cup with Mexico and the US starting in June, official Canada gear is now available at local shops, and it doesn't just mirror what you see on the FIFA site. There's a broader design mix, including a mostly black tracksuit with red and subtle gold accents, plus hats, tees, and sweatshirts. It's a chance to wear something a little different while backing the home side. And if you're sampling more live sports entertainment, AEW is also making its return to Toronto. Before we go, a final reflection on markets and moments. On the same day Canadian energy stocks dipped on geopolitical news, Toronto celebrated a player who's redefining what a modern goal scorer can be. One story is about uncertainty and long-term capacity. The other is about precision and the power of help. 705 assists worth of it. Both are reminders that while headlines can move fast, real rebuilds, whether in Venezuela's oil fields or an NHL blue line, take time. That's it for today. If you found this roundup useful, follow and share. Tomorrow we'll track the fallout from Queen's Park's Crown Royal play and keep an eye on the Leafs' defensive tweaks against a high-octane Panthers attack. Stay safe out there.